Welcome to A Journey to Happy Happy. I'm Autumn, mom, spiritual mentor, angel Reiki master, and also just a human figuring it out just like you. This is the place you come when life feels a little loud, a little chaotic, and you need just a moment to come back to yourself. Because here's the thing, life doesn't have to be so serious. You can hold your emotions, I can hold mine, and when we meet here, we don't have to fix anything. We just get to be. We get to laugh, we get to breathe, and actually enjoy the moments we're in. That's what happy is. Not perfect, not forced, just presence. So wherever you are right now, driving, walking, hiding in the bathroom for 5 minutes apiece, you made it. You're here. And this is your reminder that the journey you're on right now is already worth celebrating. Welcome back to your journey. Back to happy. Oh my goodness. This week's episode is near and dear in my heart because when I say that I spent the last 7 days in a flow state, the universe was working its magic through me. For those who know me and have worked with me and have been by my side, they know that I live by signs. I ask the universe for signs, the universe gives me signs, but in the beginning of my stages, I always wanted to understand my signs. And, I would journal them, I would write them in my phone, I would take pictures, I'd have them in my memory, but there was no sacred place for all of my entries, all of my data. I didn't understand the deeper patterns behind what I was receiving. And today's episode is really all about signs. And I just need to know, like, have you ever asked the universe for a sign? God, the universe, your angels, a loved one who's passed, whatever language feels right to you. Like, God, please just show me something. And then all of a sudden you start to see it, the 1111 or a cardinal lands right in front of you, and you get that spark inside of just like, I know the universe is trying to tell me something. I know there's something deeper here. And then maybe you get in your car and you turn on the radio and all of a sudden your loved one on the other side's favorite song is playing and you just feel safe. You feel like you're not alone. And your body knows. You just know. You get the chills. You literally stop in your tracks and you feel something and you're like, "Oh my God, that was for me." But then all of a sudden life starts to happen again. Your phone rings, your kids need something, they start crying, you get back in the car, you have to focus at work or it's time to make dinner. And then 3 hours later you're like, "Wait, what was that number I saw? What was that song I heard?" Or maybe you remember it and now your mind has 3 hours to get involved again. But then your mind gets involved and your mind's like, oh, maybe it was just a coincidence, or maybe I'm reaching for something. And I'm here to tell you that so many of us do this. So many of us do this. We see the signs, we anchor into it for a split second, and then they go just as fast as they come. Or maybe you're the type that Google it. You see 444. What does 444 mean? But now you have 17 different websites with 17 different answers. One says money is coming. One says that the angels are protecting you. One says you're on the right path. And now maybe you're even more confused than you were before the signs even started. This is why, and one of the biggest reasons that I created the What Finds You app. But before I tell you about the app, I want to talk to you about something much bigger because this isn't really an episode about angel numbers or feathers or cardinals. It's not even really about signs. This episode is about learning how to listen. Okay? Learning how to listen. If you listen to this podcast, you know I talk about breadcrumbs all the time because there have been seasons in my life where I could not see the entire path. I had to surrender, I had to trust, and I had to know that there was something leading me. I couldn't understand why the things were happening that were happening, and I really never knew what was coming next. But all of the little moments, maybe a person showing up, a name, the song, the conversation, all of those little moments created a feeling that would make me stop and think, that would make me be like, okay, universe, I'm listening. I'm ready. And sometimes that little breadcrumb was enough to help me to take one more step. And that's why signs have been so meaningful to me. But I want to make something really clear. I don't believe signs are supposed to control your life. I don't believe we're supposed to sit around asking for signs every 5 minutes because we're afraid to make a decision without one. And I don't believe a number on a license plate should have more authority over your life than your own discernment. But I do believe signs are invitations into awareness. They make us stop, they make us notice, they bring us into the present moment, they make us curious. And I feel like it's almost a way to tap into the imagination that we were so quick to close off as children. Sometimes signs make us look at things that we're avoiding, or they bring comfort, they bring clarity, they remind us of someone we love that's not physically here anymore, but their energy is. And sometimes signs don't make sense at all until months or years later. That's why I call them breadcrumbs. You stick it and you put it in your pocket and you remember it. You anchor into that energy until the moment comes where you're just like, aha. A breadcrumb doesn't show the entire road. It gives you something to notice right here, right now. Something I started noticing in myself, in my clients, and in so many of my conversations is that people are receiving meaningful moments all of the time, but we don't know what to do with them. We all experience these moments separately. Someone may be seeing 222 6 times in 1 week. They Google it, read the definition, forget about it because maybe it's not anchoring into the system. I really believe that it is the pattern we are meant to notice. I truly believe we can ask our loved ones on the other side for specific signs. And 9 out of 10 times, actually, you know what? 10 out of 10 times, those signs show up. And when they do, they give you those chills. They stop you dead in your tracks. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to write this down. I need to tell someone. But maybe 6 months later, because it happens so quickly in the present moment, the exact details of what had happened that created such magic in the moment are gone. One of my clients keeps seeing dragonflies, and I feel like they are going through one of the biggest transitions of their life. And the dragonflies are bringing them clarity, but I'm not sure if they are documenting any of it. And they never realize the pattern. And then they come back to me, Autumn, I don't think I'm intuitive. Meanwhile, that same person proceeds to tell me about 15 things they felt, they've known, they dreamed of, they sensed or noticed. And I'm like, you are listening. You're getting everything. You're just not anchoring into the patterns. You just haven't had a way to see that you have been listening. They're two very different energies. And that realization became really important to me. Because what if the goal isn't to become better at finding signs? What if the goal is becoming better at understanding the language? Because it is a language that already seems to be unfolding in their life. Signs are personal, and that is one of the biggest foundations behind everything I created with What Finds You. For those who don't know, I created an app, the What Finds You app, and it's for people to document their own personal signs with the emotions that they're feeling and their own circumstances that are going on. And I feel that this is important because signs are personal. Spirituality is something that is supposed to be a very unique experience for that spirit, for that soul. And I feel that so many of us are outsourcing ourselves. We ask everyone else, what does this mean? Google, TikTok, a psychic, a book, an angel number chart. And there can absolutely be value in learning traditional symbolism, don't get me wrong. But I know, like I know, like I know, before everybody else tells you what something means, you already know what it means. Signs are meant to be personal. Your emotions matter. What you are thinking when the sign comes matters. What you had just asked for matters. What is happening in your life matters. Your history with the symbol matters. You matter. And that's where the found method was born. I created the found method from what finds you. Let's tap into this a little bit. I wanted a way to take these moments that feel meaningful without immediately forcing interpretation onto them because sometimes we're just meant to tap into the energy of it. I feel that so many of us are so quick to give our own power away, and we're so quick to dismiss something just because we can't explain it yet. I created a 5-step practice called the Found Method. It's a way to turn a meaningful moment into a grounded conversation with yourself and your life, and it's really simple. F, find the moment. What actually happened before deciding what it means? Name what happened. For example, maybe you saw 444 3 times today. Just find the moment. That's the first step. What found you? It's okay if you don't have a story yet, or a prediction or interpretation. This step is to just notice, to just tap into presence. The next step, observe the context. Oh, this is where we get curious. What was happening when it occurred? What were we thinking about? What were we asking? What were we feeling? Were we grieving? Were we hoping for something? Were we making a decision? Were you scared? Were you excited? All of this matters. This is the piece we lose when we simply Google a sign. Google doesn't know what was happening inside of you when you saw that sign, but you do. And that context can completely change the meaning of an experience. It can completely change the meaning of that sign. The third step, you. Understand what it means to you. This one is probably my favorite step. Before you look up the universal meaning, what does this sign mean to you? And if you can't figure that out, you need to learn how to trust yourself. Or you need to purchase the book. It's the What Finds You book. It's a 97-page book, all on tools to help you tap into oneness so you can observe and sit and find and understand. I think another thing that I like to point out is in this step, this third step, what happened the last time you experienced something similar like this? Because a generic sign dictionary starts with the symbol, but found starts with you. And I think that this is such an important distinction because I'm not trying to teach you how to become better at memorizing meanings. I'm trying to help you become better at recognizing your own universal language. The fourth step, N, notice a pattern. This is where it really starts getting interesting. Has this happened before? What repeats? Do you keep experiencing similar signs during a certain emotional state? Does the same animal appear around major transitions? One occurrence can make you curious, but when you begin documenting your experience, you can start seeing the patterns, and some of those patterns might have been happening for years without you realizing it. And this is why keeping your experiences matter, because memory is messy. We forget, we rewrite things, we lose details. But when they're documented, now we get to look back. In my What Finds You app, my database is centered around recognizing patterns. Are you documenting that you're seeing a feather at the same time every single day? What do those numbers mean to you? It notices the deeper energetic patterns around the symbolism when you document them into the app. There are so many ways that you can fill out this app, or you can keep it very simple. But this app is for you to understand your own universal language. Let's go to the last, step 5, D. Decide what it invites. Notice the wording here. It's not decide what the sign commands you to do. Decide what it invites. What does it invite? Maybe the sign invites you to slow down or to call someone. Maybe it invites you to finally have the conversation that you've been avoiding. Maybe it invites you to heal or to release or to protect your energy. Maybe it's inviting you to take action. And sometimes maybe it's simply inviting you to just smile and say, wow, that was really beautiful. It doesn't always have to be bigger than that. That's the found method. Find the moment, observe the context, understand what it means to you, notice the pattern, decide what it invites. And once I had that framework, I realized there was still a problem. We needed somewhere to actually do it. And that became what finds you. Because I'm not always sitting at home next to my spiritual journal when something happens. Sometimes I'm standing in Target, I'm driving, I'm in the grocery store parking lot. Sometimes something happens while I'm living life, and I wanted somewhere simple where I could capture that moment while it was still fresh. So I created the What Finds You app. And one of the main journeys inside of the app begins with the words, "A sign found me." You open it when something gets your attention. You can document what happens, what was going on, what you were feeling, what you think it might mean, who you were thinking about. You can keep the experience. And now, instead of that beautiful little moment disappearing into the rest of your day, you've created a breadcrumb, and then another, and another. And over time, you can begin noticing the patterns. That's the piece I'm obsessed with. But I didn't want it to only be about what unexpectedly finds you, because we've all asked for signs. So, what finds you also gives you a place to intentionally say, "I'm asking for a sign." And I love that because how often have you asked for something and then you've forgotten exactly what you asked, or changed the perimeters in your head, or received something a week later but forgot the original question? This is life. This is human. Now there can actually be a record. What did I ask? Why was I asking? What was going on? What happened afterwards? And again, the point isn't to make your decision based entirely on signs. The point is awareness, curiosity, connection, discernment, noticing. And this is probably the biggest thing I want you to understand. I know I've created an app centered around signs, but I don't think what finds you is really about collecting signs. The point is not, "Look how many signs I got today." The point is understanding your own language with the universe more clearly. That's why the found method matters so much. Because without the piece, we could accidentally turn signs into another external authority. And I don't want that for any soul here on earth. I don't want you to become dependent on an app to tell you what your life means. I want the app to help you pause long enough to hear what you think, to notice what you feel, to recognize what keeps repeating in your life, to strengthen your intuition, to strengthen your discernment, to strengthen your relationship with yourself. The app isn't supposed to replace your intuition. It's supposed to give your intuition somewhere to speak. That is what I built. And this is where the vision gets really exciting for me. Imagine what you've used, what finds you for an entire year. And maybe you're going through your history one night and you begin scrolling backwards. And suddenly you realize, oh my God, before I made the huge career change, I kept seeing the same thing. Or every time I was being pulled toward this particular path, the same pattern showed up. Or maybe I had no idea how often I was leaving little reminders of my mom during the season of grief. There were so many breadcrumbs. When you feel like nothing is happening in your life, there is so much happening during the chapters of your life. And now that you can go back and look at what was going on, you see the breadcrumbs everywhere. That, that is why I built this. Because hindsight has shown me so much about my own life. There are things that happened to me that I didn't understand when I was inside of them. And then later, I could see it. I could see the connection. I could see the foundation that was being built. I could see how one thing led to another. Imagine actually having records of these moments. Not because you need to prove anything, not because you need to convince anybody that signs are real, but because they meant something to you. That in itself is enough. And I know someone is listening right now, but Autumn, what if it's just a coincidence? Maybe. Sometimes something may just be a coincidence to you, but I truly don't believe in coincidences. And if you are one that does believe in coincidences, this is perfect for you because it gives you time to understand. You don't have to decide immediately. You don't have to turn everything into a message. That's another reason I love the found method. You can simply say, "Oh, that caught my attention. I'm going to document it. I'm going to get curious. I'm going to continue living my life and let time tell me if it was a pattern." You're not meant to chase signs, and you definitely don't have to manufacture them either. You don't have to stare at the clock until it turns 11:11. Live your life, have fun, live in joys, and when something finds you, listen. That's such a different energy to begin creating in your life. And honestly, the name might be one of my favorite parts. What finds you? Because think about the things that have changed your life. How many of them did you actually go looking for? The person found you. The book found you. This podcast found you. We spend so much of our life searching for our purpose, searching for confirmation, searching for healing, searching for happiness, searching for the next thing we're supposed to do. And maybe sometimes we don't need to search harder. We just need to become present enough to notice what is already finding us. And that's the heart of this entire app. So if you're listening to this and you're the person who sees repeating numbers, notices synchronicities, asks for signs, receives moments that make you think of people you've lost, notices animals, songs, dreams, patterns, or you're simply in a season where you're trying to hear your own intuition more clearly, what finds you was created for you. I created the thing I wish I had during some of the most transformative seasons of my life. A place for my breadcrumbs, a place to remember, a place to notice, a place to practice the found method, and a place to look backward and recognize signs and patterns you may have never seen otherwise. And ultimately, a place that keeps bringing you back to you, because that is the whole point. It doesn't matter what another person thinks about your signs, or what Google says, or what everybody on TikTok is saying about 555. It does matter what you experience, what's happening in your life, what this meant for you, and if there was a pattern. And what, if anything, is this moment inviting me into? That is the found method. And what finds you is the place where that practice gets to live. And I'm not gatekeeping either. Say you get a year in the journey and you have a whole sign book, you get to download that PDF and save it on your phone. So the next time something stops you in your tracks, don't immediately dismiss it and don't immediately hand it over to somebody else to define it for you. Start here. Find the moment. Observe the context. Understand what it means to you. Notice the pattern. Decide what it invites in. Stay curious, keep listening, keep living, because maybe the things you've been asking for aren't always going to arrive as some giant booming answer. They're going to arrive as breadcrumbs, the tiny moments, the little winks from spirit, things that make you pause just long enough to become present again. And maybe instead of spending our whole life searching for signs, we can start paying attention to what finds us. That's why I created What Finds You, and I cannot wait for you to discover your own language inside of it. Until next time, remember, the journey is the joy, and you deserve happy, happy. If you're interested in tapping more into the What Finds You app, please scroll down to the show notes below. You can find the web browser for this app on whatfindsyou.app. This app is not going to be in the Google Store or the Play Store. They want too much commission. I'm going the back end and creating a website. You can add it to your home screen and it will work just like a mobile app, but without the third party. So, yay! I hope you enjoyed this episode. I am so excited for the What Finds You app. I hope that you are noticing your signs and tapping into your own inner wisdom and believing and trusting yourself because, friends, that is the point of this journey. Again, happy, happy.